Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on Superman of Metropolis, issue number 1, Future State Comic Review. Now, as you know, Future State is meant to be something similar to the New 52 line, Future's End, with Future State sort of showing characters in a possible future, and is meant to take place after the events of Dark Metal. And the story is meant to feature John Lane Kent, Superman's son, who is basically the new Superman. And let's get on the story. It starts off how, in the city of Metropolis, people are protesting, and turns out people have these sort of things given to something similar to Brainiac called Brain Cell, with the army saying, "You will turn over the artifacts own as brain cells, or we will be forced to attack." So just as a kid's about to get blown up by a tank, Jonathan Lane Kent shows up, who is meant to be Superman, and rescues the sort of Brainiac-like device, tries to take on the army, with the army asking him, like, "What the hell are you doing?" And this is a moment you can tell Jonathan Lane Kent is trying to live up to his father's examples. He goes in, finds the Brainiac-like thing that was made from Brainiac's designs, and basically tries to rescue him. And manages to sort of try and get out, while the army try and blast him. And of course, Brain Cells does point out about all the fights he's had with other villains, and basically Jonathan Lane Kent manages to escape, while basically shrinking Metropolis inside a dome city, much like Candle. And of course, this leaves Supergirl saying, John." And we're shown at the Fortress of Solitude, where Jonathan Lane Kent has planned to keep them safe from any harm, and basically this draws the attention of Supergirl, who is quick to chastise Jonathan Lane Kent's actions and what he's been up to, saying how you're not going to be in the same level as your father, you're not going to be the same path as Clark was. And you can kind of tell that, yeah, she's a bit more critical, but is kind of in the right and kind of in the wrong. And this is where she does chastise him for putting people in a bottled city. And this is a moment where she tries to sort of help the military try and get Brain Cells back. And of course, this causes Brain Cells to use Supergirl and Superboy against each other. And of course, Jonathan Lane Kent flies out, which he has to deal with drones that are using kryptonite-like bullets. And of course, Supergirl has to try and calm Jonathan Lane Kent down to sort of get him to sort of see reason, and see him saying, "Don't do this, you're not in the same level as your dad." And of course, Supergirl ends up getting blasted, and even remembers how when LexCorp fell and Lex Luthor, a new company, a new person took over, and Superboy got to know some of the people who were infected by Brain Cell's abilities, and him sort of starting to see more sense. So of course, Supergirl flies with a drone to talk with him, saying, "You are leaving us no choice, Sovereign, misplaced or not. Metropolis must be returned. We are coming in. Kara!" And then basically ends up with a big blast, which ends up with a large ship showing up that was being cloaked. And of course, Supergirl says, "That ship, it's huge. How could they mask it? I never heard it. Metropolis, we need to secure it." So of course they fly through, and just as they get into the Fortress of Solitude, this ends up with Supergirl finding that Metropolis is gone, and that Brain Cells has it. So just as Kara's going to confront the machine, it ends up blasting Kara, with Superboy saying, "You are going to end up like the charred flesh you were made from. I wouldn't, John. After all, Metropolis would not survive it. So, of course, flies out with brain cells, and basically turns out the ship is linked to brain cells. And the story for the Superman run isn't too bad. I think they make it clear that Jonathan Lane Kent is trying to be in the same examples like his father, but isn't always going to meet those standards. And I think it's interesting that they set up a new LexCorp, a new Brainiac, and showing that the future state version of Superman has a better writer than Bendis. So I think the issue deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.